Nigeria's Central Bank Chief Godwin Emefiele uses every occasion he has to talk about the state of the economy and the financial markets. And on Saturday, here in Lagos, he used the opportunity of his being awarded the Economic Personality of the Year by the Guardian newspapers to give his take on the state of the economy and, of course, the monetary policy of the central bank. Let's take a listen to Godwin Emefiele, what he told his audience.
The Nigerian economy, with a population of over 180 million people, certainly is an economy that holds a lot of prospects. But as you may all know, it is a globally recognized fact that a well-functioning financial system is a sine qua non for economic growth and development. Having been given the privilege to preview the book and task of writing a foreword, I'm certain that the expose contained therein will indeed aid an understanding of the uniqueness of our financial structure and illuminate and fill the lacuna that exists between lenders and borrowers of funds in Nigeria. Distinguished guests, it is no news that the level of credit in the domestic economy channel to productive private sector is critically below the levels required to place our economy on the path of balanced, sustainable, and inclusive growth. As I noted in the foreword to this compendium, given the indispensability of finance, the entire international community, including the United Nations member states, multilateral institutions, civil society groups, and the private sector have adopted the contemporary concept of financing for development to update the mechanisms and tools of financing flows, or financial flows, in order to fund initiatives for economic growth and development. Accordingly, emphasis on financing economic growth and development is distinctively placed on inclusiveness, accessibility, human capital, and factor productivity. In most cases, private funding in the form of bank credit is often considered an important determinant of the level of productive investments in an economy. Like many other emerging and developing countries, Nigeria has its own peculiarities in the areas of financing the economy. In addition to these peculiarities, the sheer size of our economy makes it impossible for neither the public sector nor the private sector to independently satisfy the financing requirements of the economy. Hence, the need for an effective public-private partnership and for each to play its individual role. Typically, the aspects of private sector finance as seen by the majority of Nigerians is basically concerned with credit from the banks for enterprise and investment purposes. In recognition of the importance of financing for economic growth and given its understanding of the implications of risk management in credit allocation, the Central Bank of Nigeria adopted a two-pronged approach to resolving the insufficient credit flow to the private sector and concomitantly accomplish its development finance function. The first of the two approaches include a de-risking of bank lending to the private sector through a wide range of credit guarantee schemes undertaken by the bank. The second involves direct intervention initiatives in key high-impact sectors including agriculture, micro, small, and medium enterprises, manufacturing, power sector, and etc. Both approaches, which effectively reflect public-private partnerships in financing economic growth, are designed to ensure the constant flow of credit to vital sectors of the Nigerian economy. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as most of you know, a number of exogenous global shocks exposed the vulnerabilities of the Nigerian economy over the last couple of years. Consequently, we saw depressed gross domestic product, which culminated in a recession in 2016. We also witnessed rising inflation, which peaked at almost 19% in January 2017. There was also persistently rising unemployment rate to 14.23% during the first quarter of 2016, from 6.41% during the fourth quarter of 2014. We saw a significant depreciation of the exchange rate, attaining 525 naira to the dollar in February 2017, and witnessed a fast depletion of the country's reserves, which bottomed out at about $23.6 billion in October 2016, from as high as $40 billion in January 2014. The vulnerability of the Nigerian economy to those global shocks simply reflected the fact that we were unable to sufficiently produce what we consume. Hence, the unwarranted dependence on foreign goods. But why are we unable to sufficiently produce what we consume? A number of interrelated factors are responsible for this. First of these is the dependence on oil sector to provide the foreign exchange needed to finance our imports. Related to this is the poor diversification of the economy and low factor productivity in key non-oil sector. There is the issue of an ostentatious and elitist taste for imported goods in Nigeria. But perhaps the most important of these factors is the inadequate finance to strategic high impact and high employment multiplier sectors in the economy. To counter the adverse effects of the global shocks, the CBN embarked on a number of short-term and long-term policies. These include a cycle of monetary tightening to rein in inflation, external reserves management through the restriction of FX for imports of goods that we believe can be produced in Nigeria. We established a decisive withdrawal of the de facto subsidy for the importation of 41 non-essential commodities with unfolding success. We also introduced various policies to eliminate FX speculators, bettors, round-trippers, and rent-seekers, and thereby stabilize the exchange rate with the establishment of the investor and exporters window, among others. Under our Anchor Growers program, this is designed to create an ecosystem that links smallholder farmers to local processors, improve productivity in identified commodities with high domestic production potentials, and also build capacity of smallholder farmers. It is basically designed to efficiently organize production in specific agro-allied value chains. The program has created a unique funding platform for financing smallholder farmers in Nigeria under a value chain approach that guarantees the supply of quality inputs at the right price and time to suit production cycle, and also provide a guaranteed market through anchors and aggregators that serve as off-takers to the farmers. In light of these and other policy responses, I'm happy that the Nigerian economy is experiencing a cyclical upswing and consolidating its recovery. We have seen a steady growth in real GDP from a contraction of negative 1.5% in 2016 to an expansion of 0.8% in 2017. A fall in headline inflation from a peak of 18.7% in January 2017 to 14.3% in February 2018. Stabilization and convergence of the exchange rate around 360 naira to the dollar today, from about 525 naira to the dollar in February 2017. Increased FX supply with over 20 billion inflow to the investors and exporters window since inception in April 2017. Strong recovery of external reserves from 23 billion in October 2016 to over 47 billion naira today. Improvements in the capital market metrics, improvements in the World Bank's doing business indicators, with Nigeria progressing 24 notches. Most significantly, we have seen a boost in local production due to our strategic development finance initiatives, supported by the dogged implementation of our FX restriction on certain items. We have recorded spectacular improvements in domestic production of most of these items. As a result, many local manufacturers are reporting major boosts to their revenue and profits. And to give us some examples, I'll mention a country called Saltry International Limited, an agro-allied manufacturing company based in Oyo State. This company produces starch. Before the 41 items policy, it had few customers and plenty of backlog inventory. Today, Saltry boasts over 50 multinational clients, including Nestle and Unilever. The company has saved Nigeria $7 million in foreign exchange drawdown over the last 2 years. Yes, it may seem small, but what that does is that it creates opportunities for other companies who are interested in going into starch production and glucose and the importation of glucose. And the truth is that we have started a program of, in fact, restricting FX to those who want to import starch or those who want to import glucose-based products into the country, so as to give encouragement to manufacturers or those who want to go into the production of starch and glucose in Nigeria. Nigeria is today the largest producer of cassava, and all we just need is to import some of the plant, and we can easily convert a cassava to starch and glucose in Nigeria. This policy has even freed Nigeria from perennially embarrassing imports, such as toothpicks. A company called Beton Nigeria Limited, somewhere in Ota, has also taken advantage of the policy and is now producing high-quality, competitive toothpicks that is 25% cheaper and better than their Chinese competition. As most of you know, Unilever, in around 2002, moved its Blue Band production facility to Ghana, which means that we had to import these products from that country with scarce FX. But as part of the gains of our policy and in line with an agreement that we reached with the company, Unilever has rescinded its decision, and late last year, I was personally at their factory where a new plant was commissioned at Agbara to now begin to produce its own Blue Band margarine. While I'm delighted at the gains so far, I must note that there remains a lot of work to be done. And I must confess that with a population growth rate of averaging 2.7% annually, competing as a country with the highest population growth rate in the world, a lot of work still needs to be done. We need to work to make sure that we produce what we eat. We need to make sure that we develop various strategies that will take a lot of our unemployed youths out of the streets and begin to be gainfully employed. While I'm delighted, Nigeria remains significantly below its potential, and I believe that a properly functioning financial system that channels credit to critical high-impact productive real sector is a significant part of the reason. It is imperative that we all realize that we have a lot of roles to play.
Godwin Emefiele, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And we're starting this Monday on a very negative note. The stock market is not looking good. We're just into opening session as we speak, and the numbers are not really encouraging. Let's give you some of the highlights we have as we start a brand new trading week. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Around the